So in this video, we'll go through an intro to Google Analytics, talk about how Google Analytics works, the basic setup for Google Analytics, and how to track all of your website traffic and conversions, goals, all the different things that are possible with Google Analytics. It's a very popular free tool that Google provides. This is going to be a basic beginner level, just how does Google Analytics work from a very high level, just an introduction so you get a better idea of if it's the right tracking system for you to track your website traffic, to track if you're running paid ads, things like that, or SEO. It's good to know just what the results are. You have to have tracking on your website. Google Analytics tracking is a very good option. It has a lot of different details on website traffic. So we'll just go through again. This is an intro on Google Analytics for beginners. We'll show you how it works and go ahead and get started now. Okay, in this next video, we'll be going through an intro to Google Analytics. I just wanted to do a quick intro and talk more about how it works. We'll go through the setup and the more complicated things inside of Google Analytics, but this first video is just going to be a very basic intro so you understand more how it works. So let's go into a little bit more about how it works. First off, just if you're not familiar with it at all, Google Analytics tracks all of your website traffic. So it can track how many people made a purchase on your website, how many people filled out the form, and other important actions that you want to track. So this is going to be critical to have this tracking set up before you launch really any ad campaign. I mean, Google Ads, Facebook, SEO, offline, whatever you're doing, you want to know if that marketing or if that advertising is actually producing results. Now, there are third-party tools that are even more robust than Google Analytics, but Google Analytics is free. It connects to pretty much every other system. It's the most common one by far. If you do have some third-party software, they'll have instructions on how to set it up and get the tracking code on there, but most people tend to use Google Analytics, especially since it's free. So this training video is actually going to be a sample from our actual training program, so you can get a better idea of what's in here, what we offer. Some of these are more beginner lessons, and they'll go into more advanced. So if you need more advanced training, we do have a link below in the description that will give you access to discounts and different things like that from our advanced training and all of our different programs. That's going to be a link down in the description below. And also setting up all these different the important actions you want to track. If somebody made a purchase, that's very important. Or if someone filled out the form, maybe to schedule a demo, or they downloaded a white paper, or they scheduled a call, booked a consultation, just became a lead pretty much. If you're doing lead generation, that can be tracked on the website. Other smaller things you want to track, maybe they subscribed to the newsletter, they watched a video, something like that, or they added to the cart. Just different actions. You want to know what people are doing when they get to your website, and more importantly, you want to track your ROI. Are your advertising dollars turning into phone calls, new clients, new sales, more leads, more traffic to your restaurant, to your in-person store? Just are you actually getting anything out of your marketing and your advertising dollars? And you need something like Google Analytics or other advanced tracking software to know what's happening on your website and what's happening with your marketing. Also very important, it tracks how people found your website. So it can sort out, did somebody do a Google search and just click on maybe your Google My Business, where they looked at, if you're a local business, they looked on that, then went to your website. Did they click on an ad? Was it from a Facebook post? Was it from YouTube? Was it from a podcast listing? Was it from your email newsletter? Just how did they get there? That way you know at least how much traffic is coming from each source, and then each source, which one's purchasing, which one's filling out the form. Is the email newsletter working? Are the Google ads working? Are the Facebook posts working? You track how people found the website and Did they complete an action? Did they turn into a conversion? It also tracks what people did when they were on your website. So, of course, if they made a purchase or filled out the form, but how many pages did they go to? Which specific pages get the most traffic? For example, if you added a blog, you most likely want to know, is the blog even getting any traffic? And is the blog the first entry point and then later turns into a purchase? So maybe they start by reading a blog article and then jump over and book a phone call or a consultation or a demo or something like that. But the entry point, the way they found your company, was a blog post. And of course, if you're doing ads, it's extremely important because you're paying for the ads. You want to know, after they click on an ad, do they make a conversion? So they filled out the form, they called you, they purchased, so you can calculate an ROI. But it also goes to all different levels. If you're doing a newsletter, blog post, a big social media push, or offline, if you're doing mailers or something like that, you want to know, are people completing any actions? Are you getting leads? Are you getting sales? Where people are coming from, and what they're doing once they get to your website. And Google Analytics can track all of that. Also, you can track phone calls and other offline actions when you connect to third-party tools. Phone calls, that one, there's a little bit of tracking on Google My Business. If they're on a mobile phone and they see your listing and just click call, there is some tracking there. Google Ads does track if they click on the phone number on the ad. Meaning they didn't click on the link and go to your website, they clicked on the phone number on the ad. But third-party tracking for phone calls is critical because there is software to when you click on it, it'll switch the number to a dynamic tracking number that looks similar. You can do a local number, an 800 number, whatever you want to do, but it'll switch it instantly to a different number. So did it come from Google Ads? Did it come from Facebook? It tracks all of the phone calls when people are on your website. So that's critical because most software can only track if they clicked on a phone number somewhere else. If you're wanting to track phone calls, you need third-party software to connect to Google Analytics so you know where the phone calls came from when they call the phone number listed on your website. It's similar with if you have a CRM and you have a client that became a lead, maybe 6 weeks later they became a customer. You want to know the total order value, how many leads turn into customers. There's all kinds of third-party tools that can take a lot more data and push it all the way back to Google Analytics. So you can know how many leads came through and how many leads turned into customers, different things like that. Google Analytics can connect to these tools, and the other tools will have a walkthrough of how to connect it to Google Analytics. Some other things to keep in mind, a lot of people don't realize with Google Analytics, it even says this in their help articles, the data with conversions or website traffic, it can be delayed up to 48 hours. So if you want to instantly see how much traffic you had or where a lead came from an hour ago, it usually doesn't have it that quickly. And also, if you're using multiple tracking software, your website traffic data will look slightly different when you jump from Google Analytics data to other tracking platforms. This is completely normal. None of them are broken necessarily. They're just programmed completely different ways. So Google Analytics might say you had 100 website visits from Facebook, and then you have different software that says it was 97 visits, and then Google Ads says it was 102. It's going to be slightly off, and for the most part, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be a slight variation. There really isn't perfect tracking software that exists, especially now when people, maybe they first found you on their mobile phone, and then they went home on their laptop, and then they looked on a different device, and then their computer at work, and then on their phone again, and then back to their laptop to complete the purchase. So there's so many different touch points now, and someone might click on an ad multiple times and then bookmark you and then forward the link to their email or save it. So it can get choppy for any system, even Google Analytics, to know exactly what the customer journey was and what was the first touch point and the last touch point. But they're fairly accurate enough to make decisions on where to put your marketing and advertising dollars. Just understand that it's going to be just a little bit off, and that's normal, especially when you jump from one tracking platform to another. So to get everything set up, it's actually very simple. The tracking code is provided from Google Analytics. No matter what version of Google Analytics you're using, one of the older ones, or if you want to do the latest one, they provide you with the code, and you just add the tracking code to your website. It has the instructions on there, or whatever website you're using. It's right here. The website traffic or tracking. You'll cut and paste this code. You don't have to know how to program. You just cut and paste it, and you put it in the head of the code. There's WordPress plugins that do this. If you use Shopify, if you use Squarespace, whatever you're using to build your website, there'll be a section to put in tracking code, which is this right here. Or a lot of website builders just ask you for this, the tracking ID. So you'll cut and paste this number, put it in there, and it automatically connects the two. So it's very simple. No matter what type of website builder you're using, you'll just cut and paste. Also, if you're a little more advanced and you know how to use Google Tag Manager, it's the same thing. Google Analytics connects to Google Tag Manager to send data between the two. And here's just a sample screenshot. When you go into different traffic sources, this is just a source and medium, meaning where they came from and what specific type of medium it was. This is just an example. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to divide the data, but this is a common one, a source medium report. So the source is Google, and this is organic, meaning they clicked on a Google result that's not an ad. Whereas down here, there's Google CPC, as in cost per click. So that would be a paid ad. So you can see Google Organic if you're doing SEO efforts. Users was 2,000. New users, sessions, meaning one person can come to the site multiple times. Bounce rate, if it's a really high bounce rate, they left the site very quickly. If it's lower, they didn't. They stayed on the site, meaning they didn't bounce off of the site after clicking on it immediately. Pages per session, that's usually on only a couple. You don't see 10 or 20 in here. And then average session duration. I mean, for the internet, a minute or two is a very long time. 30 seconds isn't too bad for going on your site and looking around. And this is an overall average. Some people may have spent 10 minutes. Some might be 5 seconds. Goal conversion rate per traffic source. How many clicks, how many conversions. And then goal completions. So we have another video on how to set up goals, but this is, they made a phone call, purchase, they filled out a form, whatever your goal is set up as, here's how many people completed it. So, I mean, there's a lot more advanced Google Analytics training out there. We just wanted to give you an intro. If you wanted a deep dive to know everything about Google Analytics inside and out and be an expert, you'd want Google Analytics specific training, and there's entire training courses on it. We just wanted to give you enough info to where no matter what position you're in, you can have a basic understanding of Google Analytics and track your different marketing efforts. So Google Organic, this would be SEO, how many leads, how much traffic. Google CPC, this is your Google ads, how many leads, how much traffic, how long do they stay on the site. Here's Bing ads, or Microsoft ads as it's now called, offline, or they went directly to it. If you're different referral sites or you have an email newsletter, you can just quickly see how much traffic, is it quality traffic? Do they stay on the site a while? Do they go to multiple pages? And again, the most important, are there any goals? Did they fill out the form? Did they call you? Did they buy something? These are critical, most importantly, the goal completions, but also just a little bit more insight on your traffic to just get a high level view on how everything's doing, especially if you're doing different marketing sources. If you're doing some SEO, some emails, some Facebook, some Google ads, different things like that, you can just kind of glance at them and look at all the different sources compared to one another. So Google Analytics can be very useful if you want to kind of get out of the Google Ads platform or Facebook Ads platform. Just take a look at all your traffic in general and see how it's doing and get a little bit more insight than your ad platform will show you. It's also critical for tracking to have all this set up so you know are your marketing and advertising dollars actually getting any kind of results? Are you getting more leads, more business, more sales? It's critical to have this tracking set up before you launch all your marketing efforts. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching our PPC ads training video. If you want more videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like this video if you found it useful, and any questions, post them in the comments down below. We also have additional training in the description. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.